The Song from the Dungeon. Deep beneath the earth in the palace of Thebes, circa 1200 BCE, at the twilight of Egypt's new kingdom, a stone chamber lies shrouded in darkness. Its marble walls, carved with sphinxes and gods, soak up the faint glow of torches flickering in bronze sconces. The air is heavy, thick with the stench of burning resin, dried blood, and a despair so raw it chokes the lungs. The clank of iron chains blends with faint moans, forming a chilling requiem that echoes through the stifling gloom. Dozens of women, their gaunt bodies pale and trembling, kneel on the cold stone floor. Their faces are clamped in monstrous iron masks, mascara bestia, brutal torture devices crafted by the sorcerer Akhmahet. Each mask is a work of cruelty, forged from black iron, shaped like serpents or giant scorpions, lined with sharp spikes that pierce cheeks, foreheads, and chins. The slightest movement, a tilt of the head, a stifled sob, drives the spikes deeper, tearing flesh, sending blood streaming down necks and chests. The masks don't just inflict pain, they strip away humanity, transforming their wearers into grotesque shadows of themselves. These women, peasant girls from the Nile Delta, princesses from neighboring kingdoms like Nubia and Canaan, bear the scars of weeks of torment. Their wrists and ankles are chained to stone pillars, their skin torn by whips, their bodies marred by grotesque experiments. The guards, draped in coarse brown linen cloaks, their faces hidden beneath iron helmets, stand silent in the shadows, their eyes cold but tinged with unease. They believe the prisoners are broken, their spirits crushed under the will of Queen Nefer-Neith and her sorcerer, Akhmahet. Papyrus scrolls, stained with blood and ink, await forced confessions of betraying the gods and consorting with darkness. The chamber falls into a terrifying stillness, broken only by the drip of water from the ceiling and the prisoners' faint breaths. But in this moment of seeming despair, a trembling voice rises from the corner. It belongs to Amara, a young woman from the Nile's floodplains, her eyes still sparking with defiance despite the blood dripping from her iron mask. She sings Hymnos Isis, an ancient hymn calling on the goddess Isis for protection, banned by the queen for its message of freedom and compassion. Her fragile melody, like a desert breeze, stirs the others. One by one, the women join her, their voices weaving a frail but fierce chorus, drowning out the clank of chains and the guards' shouts. The guards, thrown into chaos, brandish spears and yell, but the song persists. Blood flows from the iron masks, mingling with sweat and tears, yet the voices grow stronger, a defiant proclamation. The hymn escapes the dungeon, echoing through the marble corridors, reaching the ears of Thebes's trembling citizens outside the palace. They sing even as they're dragged to the execution ground, facing swords or pyres. Why do they sing? Who turned them into living torches? This is no mere legend. A relief found in Nefer-Neith's lost tomb in the 19th century, depicting women in monstrous masks, alongside fragments of Akhmahet's scattered journals, reveals a horrific secret from this brutal era: the sin of eternal beauty. Queen Nefer-Neith, reigning around 1200 BCE, is a mythic figure in Egyptian history. With jet black hair like the night and eyes sharp as obsidian, she embodied power and beauty. But her obsession was not her throne or conquest, it was eternal youth. She refused to let time mark her body, yearning to be as eternal as the goddess Isis. Prayers in the temples could not sate her. She turned to forbidden rites, rituals condemned by the high priests. Whispers spread that Nefer-Neith summoned Akhmahet, an exiled sorcerer banished from Memphis for heretical practices. He claimed he could infuse the life of strange creatures into human flesh, granting beauty that defies time. In the cold marble corridors of Thebes's palace, under the blank stares of Sphinx statues, Nefer-Neith and Akhmahet hatched a sinister plot. They ordered the abduction of the most beautiful young women from across Egypt, peasant girls from the Nile Delta, princesses from Nubia and Canaan. These women were taken to a subterranean dungeon, where sunlight never reached, and the sorcerer's horrific experiments began. The menagerie of the night beneath Thebes' palace. Akhmehet built a terrifying menagerie in a deep stone vault. Iron cages held grotesque hybrids, venomous serpents with shimmering scales, giant scorpions from the Libyan desert, iridescent insects with glowing wings, and even malformed embryos floating in jars of resin. The sorcerer, his gaunt face lit by feverish red eyes, extracted essences, eggs, and blood from these creatures, injecting them into the bodies of the captive women. His experiments were a nightmare. The women, bound to stone slabs, their faces clamped in iron masks, trembled as toxic essences coursed through their veins. Many could not endure. Their skin hardened into reptilian scales, their hair fell in clumps, their eyes clouded, and their minds shattered before death claimed them in agony. Their screams echoed through the dungeon, but Nefer-Neith, watching from behind a silk curtain in her grand hall, remained unmoved. She ordered more slaves and even princesses from neighboring kingdoms to be brought, fueling the experiments despite the growing pile of bodies below. The Song of the Shades. In the stifling darkness of the dungeon, the surviving women clung to sanity. They whispered prayers to Isis, goddess of life and compassion. Their pleas turned to song, Hymnos Isis, an ancient hymn with a mournful yet powerful melody, calling for divine protection. Despite beatings and chains, despite blood streaming from their iron masks, they sang, as if the hymn tethered their souls, keeping them from the abyss of madness. The song became a small flame in the dark, a silent but fierce act of defiance. Even the brutal guards grew uneasy hearing its melody, as if Isis herself watched from the unseen realm. The night of the frenzied. Rising on a fateful night, madness erupted. The caged creatures, infused with strange essences, roared and broke free. The women, affected by the toxic injections, fell into a trance-like state, half-conscious, like shades in a dream. Some, with inexplicable strength, tore off their iron masks, ripping their flesh but charging at the guards. In a blood-soaked frenzy, they shattered the dungeon's gates, toppling cages of monstrous beasts. Akhmehet, caught off guard, tried to flee but was torn apart by the enraged mob. The laboratory erupted in flames as torches ignited volatile resins. The women, wielding weapons seized from fallen guards, stormed the palace's grand hall to confront Queen Nefer-Neith. The confrontation with the Immortal Queen. The confrontation with the Immortal Queen. Nefer-Neith, enthroned on marble, was no longer human. She had undergone Akhmehet's ritual, her skin smooth as a maiden's, but her eyes blazed red like hellfire. Yet the magic failed. Her body began to crack, black blood oozing from fissures, as if the gods themselves judged her. She screamed, ordering her guards to slaughter the rebels. But the women did not falter. Singing Hymnos Isis, they advanced, clutching torches and stolen swords. Despite their weakness, despite the blood from their masks, their eyes burned with rage and freedom. The hall trembled under the hymn's power, as if Isis herself guided them. The curse in the ashes. In the chaos, Amara drove a sword into Nefer-Neith's chest. As the queen collapsed, she roared a curse. Beauty and power are what you crave most. The day will come when you chain iron masks to your own faces. The palace burned, columns of smoke rising to the desert sky. The few survivors fled into the night, singing Hymnos Isis until dawn broke, a testament that their souls remained free, despite their scarred bodies. Traces left behind. In the 19th century, a French archaeologist, excavating a lost tomb near Thebes, uncovered a stone vault containing dozens of monstrous iron masks, resembling reptiles and insects. A stele, inscribed with Hymnos Isis, bore words that seemed to weep and curse at once. The archaeologist's journal noted, "This song feels like it rises from the dead, as if those souls still find no rest." A shattered stone statue depicting a woman crushed by a monstrous mask stood as final evidence of this horrific tale. Did they truly sing, and will we? This story may be true, or a distorted fragment of ancient Egyptian history, but it asks a haunting question. Would you choose eternal beauty or freedom? Do you have the courage to sing in the dark, with a blade at your throat and flames rising? Does our society today, with its pressures of beauty, power, and control, wear its own iron masks? Share your thoughts. Are we chaining ourselves with modern masks? In Thebes, 1200 BCE, would you stay silent or sing with Amara? Sometimes the frailest song topples the mightiest throne.